Hello, this is the Old West Post Office, which as of the recording of this video is the latest Western themed set from this company. Comes with 1,692 pieces. The retail price is $90 US, and I got mine for a little under 80, I think it was, by just looking for the best discounts between their own website and Amazon. There are 4 minifigures included, and we'll look at those later. As a standard for this brand, the set comes with lighting, and if you have very low light conditions in your space, you're going to see something that potentially looks like this, so you can definitely see interior details easily, and that's just by looking through the windows. You don't have to take anything apart. That said, the set does have good accommodation to enjoy the full interior details without the lights on and without taking it apart, but we'll get to that. Every piece in this set that looks decorated is using prints, not stickers, as has been the case for all sets from this company, numbered 9030 and higher, is my understanding. This is mostly UV prints, not pad prints in this one, but they do look good to me, and I'll always call out anything that particularly does not look good to me. I believe this is supposed to be a scale out front. I'm pretty sure that's what they're representing there. So I didn't look back at Old West scenes and things to verify the eras of everything, but I think that's what's going on here. So you got a couple packages that are just being weighed up. A small cactus here. The stairs are broken up just a little bit. Sorry, I'm going to have a little bit of trouble with some of the focus up close here, but you've got another large package out here. There's nothing actually inside of this, but it's just built up using multiple pieces. Out on the porch, so to speak, the front deck, there's just a bench there which doesn't have any studs on it. You can put a figure on that, but it doesn't really hold onto it. A little bit of foliage outside, some of it live, some of it looking a little bit dead. There's an actual mailbox here, some more foliage. And then there's a cover back here, kind of an open shed, which holds a single horse. There's a water trough in front, and then there's another horse outside of that. There's also a small chest inside of there that's partially supposed to be buried underneath some accumulation of hay that has a couple of gold bars in it, just a couple of gold ingots as just a little special treasure to come across. This is my first time seeing horses in person from this company. It's interesting you actually have to put these together. I think it's like 5 pieces. The prints on them I think are pretty good. The articulation is just with the neck being able to go up and down, and then the hind legs are also able to rotate. Interestingly, those rotate together. I thought that with the separate pieces, these would have more articulation than what I'm used to, but no, it's just that. But you know, the quality I think is perfectly fine. Sorry for hitting the camera repeatedly. Around the back, you have this very large cactus, and as you can see, I've got this hooked up to just a USB battery box, as I always do for these, just for the sake of consistency and ease of getting to it. But we'll talk more about that in just a minute. Large cactus, which looks completely oversized to me. That thing is crazy tall. I think this is representing the local express or regional express mail service. You can see a crack in the wall there as well. A couple prints, completely unnecessary, but if I get that to focus properly there, just a couple of unnecessary prints on the top. You can just barely see black printed on top of dark brown, which again, you don't see that much, but it is there, and I do appreciate the extra effort. So here around the back, this is the actual battery box that comes with the set. I haven't seen this one before myself. It takes 3 AAA batteries, so it's smaller than the ones that I'm used to, and has anti-studs here, studs on the other side. The on-off button is there, and there's just a sequence or a series of 1x1 by 2/3 double anti-studs, so anti-stud top and bottom. And there's also just a little printed envelope back here, which somebody has missed, that's gotten lost. Around the back, you know, this is not the greatest looking thing. This looks rather plain. There's just a little bit of depth here, but ultimately that just saves weight, and I'm assuming the cost as well. Around this side, also very plain. You can see right there a slight difference in color for the parts that actually connect electrically to move electricity from the lower floor up to the upper one, and that's something to keep in mind when we want to separate the lower floor from the upper, but we'll get back to that. And then you've got the slanted roof segments, which are just kind of pasted on all the way up on the top in the flat area. There's this giant nest. I mean, compared to the size of one of their figures, this thing, it has to be a pteranodon nest or something like that, right? I do appreciate the little bucket nest build for it, just using little robot hands in a couple of colors, and it does have a couple of eggs. One of them is loose, the other one's actually attached. The color of those is cream, like ivory. And finally, just bringing this around so you can see the rest of the overall shape of it. Again, just very plain on this side, and not a whole lot of detail on the very top. This whole section here, this whole segment, this whole facade is its own sub-assembly. It actually gets attached from the front with a couple pairs of like Technic style pins. And it actually helps to hold the roof on the way that it's put together, which is kind of nice. These prints are all done together, so they actually assembled the parts onto a single temporary part first, a temporary plate, and then they print the whole thing to make sure that everything is properly aligned. And then down here, there's also the suggestion of the hole in the window, and that's done with a print in the window pane piece. Notice these windows here are built sideways. No additional unnecessary prints out here. Would have been nice to get prints here in the front rather than these couple ones over here. But yeah, this is all just done with genuine building techniques. Now let's talk about the interior. So I'm going to swing things all the way back around here. I'm sure the first time around you saw the little handles and also the hinges off to the side. This makes it very, very easy to get full access to see everything on the inside, like I hinted at earlier. I mean, the whole thing opens up. Let's start here looking at the upper floor. This upper floor appears to be actually an office of a regional newspaper, like a field office. You got a telephone there. You got one of their newspapers on top, and these are all supposed to represent notes. Probably some mail in there, coming to them or going out as well. But most of it is about the publishing of a newspaper, and we'll see more details about that in just a minute. I've got a little hat over here. If I can get that to focus all the way back, it's tough. But you got a bookcase back there, probably some research and some encyclopedia type information. Nice grandfather's clock on the back wall there. Interestingly, the pendulum is actually able to swing back and forth. Can't really get it to do that automatically, but when you build it, you get to feel that, which is kind of nice. And then here, lots of newspaper articles, previous clippings and things on the prints up there. This upper floor above is not intended to come off easily, so I'm not going to pull that off. Of course, you got to have a swig of something to drink down there. Below, the other side, interestingly, has a large poster of this very building on it. I don't know if that's supposed to represent a hand-colored photograph that's been enlarged quite a lot, or if it's actually just a painting, more likely a painting, and then a couple of newspapers also on the wall over here, relatively recent, I'm assuming. This is a reasonable look at the level of brightness of this ground floor here. They haven't overlit it. It's trying to be kind of semi-realistic, just kind of set the mood for the place. So, you don't have a whole lot of brightness, which I think actually feels good in general. But for the sake of the review, we are going to want to see things a little bit better. I just wanted you to see this first in its most natural form, in just as you would see it as you open it up. I think this is a pretty good representation. But again, for the sake of the review, I want you to see more, and thus I am going to take the upper floor off. Let me just close this up, and I've talked about this before, and I will keep talking about it until they fix the issue. Right here, there's that connection point between the two levels. When you have these sets from this company, you want to always lift the upper floor by bending towards that. Always go perpendicular to that. So I'm going to push down a little bit on the right side and then pull up from the left. And I want those two to separate, because if they don't separate, there's going to be a wire connected there, and that's going to be a pain in the butt. It's always a pain when that happens. Eventually, they will fix these pieces, one of them at least, to have less clutch power, so they don't want to stick together. They will separate more easily. But for now, you do kind of have to use that trick of always going against the grain with that one to make sure that you don't have any frustrating experiences with it trying to stay connected. More nice prints on the inside, once again, with larger pieces that have prints across multiple parts being first assembled before they're printed. Good suggestions of figure access with the stairway here that goes all the way down to the ground. A lot more prints back in here. So many prints. I guess that's supposed to be a stamp sheet, but it's a pretty big stamp sheet though. This is actually a built up little chair, which you do right at the end. Haven't seen that exact design before, but it looks nice. It's definitely effective. Feels like it belongs in this space. There's a gun behind the desk. Also a nice plated, lacquered gold key off to the side. The desk lamp gets its wiring or gets its electricity pretty well. I will say that there are several places throughout this build where pieces pinch wires a little bit. So a lot of the wiring goes through the floor down here on the ground floor. And some of it uses, you can see just right there, that dark orange piece is one of their specialized parts that this company makes that allow you to seamlessly route wires around. They've got a number of them. You can see another one over here of a different type. This mail cart, by the way, can be pulled out. I'll just do that right now. It's actually like an olive drab color. Kind of nice silver wheels down there. But they have a lot of pieces in their part inventory for routing wires. But then you see this floorboard right next to that one. It's up a little bit. And sorry about the focus again. That's because this tile has a wire going underneath it. That's something that this company usually doesn't do, but every once in a while they do it. And this set has too many of those situations, in my personal opinion. I think maybe I've just been a little bit spoiled by what I've seen from them up to this point, but I prefer to just have their specialized parts to route the wires without ever having to pinch them, without ever having to have a piece that sticks up a little bit in order to accommodate the wire going through it. And this one just, even though it's a newer set, doesn't do the best job of that in all the places. I wanted to be sure to call that out. This is the publicly accessible space. So this is where somebody would actually go up to the window to get service, a small light off to the side. Money orders are offered. That's why you got a guy with the gun behind the desk over here. You could get robbed or something. Another of the clock print over here, a bunch of post office boxes up there, which are done pretty nicely. And then in the actual employees space back here, not a whole lot actually going on back here. Right on the, this is rough to get the focus. Sorry about that. I'm trying to find it. I'm doing it manually. I'm doing it live. There we go. Another print on the envelope there is actually a pen off to the side, and another printed piece as well. Most of these prints are different as well. It wasn't even really necessary for them to do that. They could have used more generics, but they used more specialized and individual ones throughout. And then just a single seat for the employee, and that's pretty much it. So you got just a little space for the mail cart to kind of be parked there. No detail on this back wall. Obviously, you need to have space for this door for people to get in, or for your employee to get in, but that's it. And then this back wall also, again, is completely plain, not only on the outside, but also on the inside. That pretty much takes care of everything there is to see here with this one. It's just one last look at the whole thing. Its overall size and shape and presentation. It is definitely larger than I personally was expecting, just from initially seeing it in their pictures relative to a figure. I thought that the individual floors were shorter than they are, but there's plenty of extra headroom, and that goes for both of these levels. It's kind of a shame that there's nothing up in the rafters, though. It's a lot of space that's ultimately pretty much just hollow. Just a quick look at the first couple of figures. A lot of people, for some reason, think that these have no articulation, so I've just posed one with a little bit of articulation. You also have waist articulation that typical figures don't have, but of course, this company is not able to make figures that look exactly like the leading brands, because the leading brands figures are, whole designs are trademarked. So if you're looking for those, this isn't them. If you don't like these, that's okay. If you do like these, that's great, but I'm just showing them to you quickly. And here are the other two figures. I would assume that these two are patrons, where the first two were employees that actually work at the building, but come up with your own stories and pop and swap parts as you wish. And here are the extra pieces, some of which don't feel like they should be, but they are. The keys came on a runner like that. Some extra pieces for the figures. This is their brick separator, Phillips head screwdriver for the battery box, and a pair of tweezers for routing wires should you need them. They also have this piece, which is intended to be discarded, but you can use it. But this is what the sign on the front of the building was originally attached to align all the pieces before it was printed. So there's a little bit of overprinting there in the center. Again, this is intended to be discarded, but you don't have to. The retail price of $90 US feels a lot better after having built this. It's almost 1,700 pieces. So if you only look at price to part ratio and you're used to the leading brand, the value here looks objectively incredible to you, especially when you consider that this has a full set of electronics and a whole lot of prints, a ridiculous number, an unnecessary number of prints. But, I'm getting more used to, just what value can be in the brick building world, thanks to companies like this. And yeah, when I first saw it, 90 bucks, okay. I mean, it feels like they're maybe pushing things a little bit, but no, this is large for the price. Yes, it is very plain around the back and one side, but the interior detail, the overall size of it, it definitely works out for me value-wise. It's probably a good candidate for customizing, especially since the areas that are the most plain just have large panel pieces, single panel pieces. So those are easy to just pop out and replace with some smaller details, which include things that can be attached to the inside, or you just kind of, add some patina to it with different colors of parts. Generally, quality felt really good here, with the exception of, like I said, the design having a few spots where you pinch wires. There's one right here. You can see one, this tan tile is sticking out just a little bit because there's one wire that comes around the corner right there. They've got the pieces to not have to pinch parts or to pinch wires between parts. So I really think they should do that very, very consistently. I don't know exactly what happened here. It felt like maybe this one was rushed just a little bit, but that's the worst that I can say. Those are the worst things I can say about the whole thing. Overall, I'm still impressed. I'm glad that I tried out something Western from them, which isn't within my own personal wheelhouse, and I'll keep trying more stuff from this company. Hope that I brought you some value. If you're interested in purchasing something from one of these companies, please consider using one of my affiliate links in the video description if there's one applicable to you, but there's no pressure whatsoever. I could just get a small commission that can help me to keep the channel going and buy more sets to review for you. Thank you very much for watching. Hope you enjoyed this, and I'll talk to you again soon. Bye for now.